One day after Libya proclaimed liberation, the country's future may be more restrictive than expected. The question everyone is asking today, will Libya now become a religious state? The country's interim leaders have said Sharia law will be its fundamental source of legislation. Many are divided over the controversial Islamic code of conduct that has been described as oppressive. And now, NATO has said it may not end its military mission at the end of the month as originally expected. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister has offered his remarks on the situation in Libya. John Baird says we have to trust Libyans to do the right thing, at least for now, with more. Mark Dunn joins us from our Parliamentary Bureau. All right, Mark. I guess this all comes down to what the interpretation of Sharia law is going to be in the eyes of the new rulers of Libya. But essentially, what's your take on what they're talking about over there right now?
Well, you know, it's a slippery slope, Krista. You know, we saw what went on in Iran. We've seen it in Afghanistan. The interim leader, the caretaker president, even the breadth of Sharia causes a lot of concerns. You know, this law oppresses women. Homosexuals can be executed if convicted 4 times. It's very, very worrisome things, and especially from the Canadian side. As I think you have a board, what Mr. Baird said this morning on a local radio station, is that he's calling for calmer heads. Let's see what happens going forward. Canada wants to be part and parcel of helping this country work on its constitution. But I just got off the phone, Krista, with Homa Arjomand, and she heads the international campaign against the Sharia court in Canada. She's well connected around the world, including Libya, and she says already some of the spoils of war that fall under Sharia law are happening. Women are being raped, and women are being murdered. And these are women who were professionals under the Gadhafi regime, working as pharmacists, teachers, lawyers, that sort of thing, and they're considered enemies now, and are being attacked.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. Those incidents and events were taking place during the revolution or post-revolution, just in the last 72 hours?
We're talking post-revolution, post 72 hours, because of this talk of the Sharia law. And one thing that Mrs. Arjomand is quite concerned about is that Tripoli or Libya could just basically fall into an Islamic state, just like Iran, and that's very, very worrisome. And it will be very worrisome for the Canadian government, who jumped into this 8-month NATO campaign with really not a backup plan beyond lending fighter jets and troops and patrol boats and a destroyer, as you know.
Well, exactly. I don't know if we can throw up that graphic again that illustrates the remarks from Foreign Minister John Baird. But what I want to ask you, Mark, is, okay, so here it is. Mark, do you want to read it or do you want me to?
I'll let you read it. I can read it from paper.
Yeah. Canada is going to offer a lot of support to help them draft a constitution to help them with elections, and we're excited about the future of Libya. They have a very well-educated population. They have a great potential. They've made very clear and specific commitments with respect to a democratic roadmap. I mean, Mark, I see the foreign minister saying we're excited about the future of Libya. Then we see the Canadian who's heading up the mission talking about how this has been an incredible military success. In fact, all of the missions he's been involved in, he's hard-pressed to think of one that's been as successful as this, because it demonstrates how when NATO, the alliance, is working together, they can do great things. Meanwhile, most of us who are operating in sanity here understand that NATO, frankly, should, or at least on the ground, the rebels should have taken out Gadhafi a long time ago with the support that they had from NATO. I mean, it's like you have to ask yourself, what planet are these people living on? Are we really excited about the future of Libya?
Well, I mean, you've got to remember too, Chris, John Baird and the Harper government were pretty much one of the first in the world to recognize the National Transitional Council as the government in waiting. This is a ragtag coalition of doctors, lawyers, former Gadhafi cabinet ministers. Not really known about these guys. And Mr. Baird's always been on record. Well, anyone's got to be better than Gadhafi, and that's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer is better than Clifford Olson. We have really no knowledge of these people and what they want to do for the future of the country. And it seems Canada and the rest of the West really didn't put a plan together to push this country forward. We talk a lot of lip service about help them with the Constitution, help them with elections, but what's going to happen? Where is Canada and the rest of the world like what's going on the ground today. And frankly, the first moments of liberation, it was frontier justice with the assassination of Gadhafi, somebody who was supposed to be brought before an international court to face war crimes.
As always, Mark, we appreciate your analysis, illuminating as always. Thank you for this.
See you later.
Mark John reporting live from our Parliamentary Bureau. And
Hello.
coming up, we've got to take a short break. But
My name is Alexander Hagan, and I have some analysis regarding this story I would like to share with you. Bear with me one moment, please, while I get this camera to stop moving around. I have given up temporarily on mixing my own complex video because I was up all night trying to do that. Okay, so I think we can get this now. I beg your pardon for the delay. So tonight the news from Libya is very dismal indeed. And I entitle this piece, "Who Will Stand for Women's Rights in the NATO-Dictated TNC Libya?" My name is Alexander Hagan. I am the CEO of a small, medium-sized tech company in Silicon Valley. Previously, I was a financial analyst. I was a financial journalist, and I was a research engineer in telecommunications. The undertitle would be Libya, Sharia Laws of War Permitting Rape. Who will protect Libya's women? We warned the West that Libya could be resolved through talks leading to elections. My second copyright infringement strike on YouTube was showing Saif al-Islam saying they would allow elections right now. Not in 6 months, but in 90 days. That was back in June. The TNC will not allow elections until 2013. That should be enough time for them to intimidate the Loyalists and jail or kill their leaders to make sure the new Clinton-Obama cluster duck Libya will be in line with their dictates. We warned the West of their disinformation campaign that included falsely accusing the Libyan Loyalists of Viagra rape. And you should see how Libyan women reacted to those charges against their husbands and sons and fathers. You can see a video on YouTube called "Libyan Loyalist Women Send Message to Hillary Clinton," or to Michelle Obama, either will turn it up, and having an army composed of African mercenaries, which led to reprisal killings of blacks. We warned the West that putting the TNC into power risked destroying a secular society that eliminated homelessness and food insecurity, had a poverty rate much lower than the U.S., had socialized medicine and socialized education, including college. Today's a dark day indeed. The West may have to begin arming the Loyalists. Of course they won't, but that might be the only way to prevent a horrible situation from being visited upon the women of Libya. So women of the United States and Britain and France, you should think seriously about what you've done to your sisters in Libya through your silence. We've already seen horrific atrocities against black people in Libya, thousands and thousands of beatings and lynchings. We have seen horrific atrocities visited upon Loyalists, especially by the NATO destruction of the city of Sirte. Today in the New York Times is an article about the summary execution of 53 people by the Miseraten brigades. People had had their hands tied behind their backs at a hotel in Sirte. Many suspect that they had been removed from the hospitals because they had been suspected of participating as volunteers in the defense of Sirte, as well as people in the Loyalist military. Any respect we could have thought to have for Jalil, the primary leader of the NTC, must now disappear. He attempts to accuse the Loyalists of killing Gadhafi when we've all seen the most horrific videos of his beatings. And now we find video documentary, undisputable evidence that someone was trying to sodomize him with a bayonet as he staggered through the crowd. And I saw blood from the back of his pants. So can you imagine the revenge that will take place by the millions of Libyans that have pledged loyalty to Gadhafi and the Warfala and the Tarhuna tribes? The tribal society in Libya is based on honor. This dishonoring of this fallen leader will lead to not gallons but rivers of blood, most likely. We shall see. But unfortunately, every prediction that we have made has come true, worse than we anticipated, about the negative consequences of this shoot first, ask questions later policy of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's. At each point, one would have thought, now really this is too much. Surely people can see this is too much. But at each point, it seems to advance to another set of horrors. And the worst of it is that Susan Rice, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton, who own the new Libya, make no mistake, without them, this would not have happened. For example, it was a Predator drone that destroyed Gaddafi's convoy as he was escaping Sirte that allowed him to be captured. It was probably Hillary Clinton's statements in Tripoli saying she wanted him captured or killed as soon as possible that led to the climate, that there could have been such a horrific lynching, not only of him, but of his son Mutassim, who was a very brave fighter, absolutely, who died trying to hold his honor as much as possible. They will act as if they're shocked at the NTC. But the NTC would not be there except for their intervention. They own the NTC. The shoot first, ask questions later, massive attack on Libyan's armed forces, loyalist population, and infrastructure. Every rape, every lynching, every beating is 100% responsibility of this troika. And there are thousands of enablers. Their only defense is to put them in the scales against the continuation of the old Libyan state, or in the scales against the golden opportunity we had to bring all parties to the negotiating table to help Libya achieve democracy peacefully. Now, when you put these things in the scales, all of these horrific crimes, the destruction of Libyan armed forces, all these, including loyalist atrocities, which wouldn't have occurred without an escalation of violence through NATO's conduct. You don't have to commit atrocities when you control a country. Now, Libya had a prison population of about 9,000 people. So if one could extrapolate roughly, 10% of those might, if you took a 10% figure from that prison population, said that might have been the number of horrific beatings that occurred a year, because they're common criminals, are largely what their prison population was. It would be a drop in the bucket compared to what we're seeing in a week in Libya in terms of killings. So we cannot say that this is an improvement. Now, one could assume that the situation will eventually stabilize, but in what direction we cannot say. I do not want to hear the U.S. administration utter one word of criticism for the NTC that they do not equally apply to themselves. They have brought this horror on the world. Their only solution is to demand elections within 90 days, not 2 years, as the NTC has currently announced. We all know what happens in developing countries that announce that they're going to have elections in 2 years. And some large powers have to aid the loyalists, because only the loyalists will fight for women's rights and blacks' rights. The liberal Democrats are far too small and weak. For those of you who don't know, the people who are running Libya right now are largely extremist Islamists. The military commander, the strongest commander, has strong links with Al-Qaeda. Many of the commanders throughout this operation that the U.S. armed and equipped even fought American soldiers in Iraq. We are arming terrorists to kill the leader of a country who voluntarily disarmed and joined us in our war on terror. So it is with a heavy heart that I must report another horrific day in Libya. And what can you do about it? You should fax a letter to your representative with big, bold letters at the top. The only way to stop rape in Libya is to bring the loyalists back to the bargaining table. And I'm not trying to advocate for the loyalists. I'm trying to stop professional women from being raped. The first law that was passed by the NTC was to allow polygamy. What does that do for women's rights? My name is Alexander Hagan. Thank you, good night, and good luck.